It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. 30 minutes of time-wasting fun on the show. About 30 minutes of sleepy time fun. Now, I don't mean that I'm going to put you to sleep. I hope that's not the case. But we're talking about sleep on the show. It's something that we all do. We all do. Now, depending on our age, we either do it a lot more or a lot less than others, right? Think about that. When you were growing up, a teenager, you were sleeping in as long as you could. I know there were many times my mom would be coming and waking me up at 11:30. I don't know that there was ever a day I was allowed to sleep until noon. And then when you're in your 20s, you're doing the all-nighter thing, right? So you're coming home when the sun is coming up. And then, at least for my generation, you were going into work the next day or you were going to school the next day. Now, the new generation's a bunch of pansies. They're calling in sick for 3 days. But for us, you would do a night of the bar in your early 20s, and then you would just go. And then when you hit your 25, 26 range, maybe 30s, that's now when you're an adult, right? That's when things kind of, at least for most people, you have the regular job, right? So you're waking up. Hey, I know people here in Los Angeles who wake up at 4:30 in the morning to start their day and their commute because it takes so long to get to work. So that's when shit gets real for a lot of people. And it really did for me. So because I was able to retire at the age of 39, which is now 5 years ago, I've really come to appreciate sleep. And I know that there's people who go and say, oh, well, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And, though, it really makes you feel good to sleep a lot more. Now, we don't have kids in our house. So it's not like we have to, we don't have a baby screaming all hours of the night. We don't have to wake up kids for school. We don't have to drive kids to school. We don't have to take them to soccer practice or, whatever in the evening. So we conserve energy there. But now we wake up at noon every day. And you'd think that, okay, well, in your 40s, that seems really weird. Again, retired, so really don't have to do anything. Now, if I do have to jump on for entertainment news, because I still am an entertainment correspondent for the stations that we're hosting or that broadcast our radio shows. So if there's a major story, then yes, I will be up at 9:30 or, whatever to report on it. But generally, 98% of the month or week even, I'm sleeping until noon. And I'm going to explain why I love it. And so again, because sleep is something that we all do, and I'm talking also to an older generation who's been through every one of those phases in life, that we're just going to appreciate sleep on the show right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on The Scribble. I feel like I know that you can't see me, but I feel like I should have been wearing pajamas for this just because I'm talking, we're talking sleep. I should be in my big plush bathrobe, but I'm in sweats and a sweatshirt, so maybe that's close enough. I should, you got to dress the part. But no, one of the things that my mom told me, she retired from working at a school after 30 some years. So she retired about a year before me. And I remember her, and even then, even in the summer, she would have 2 months off. She would always be bored by week 2 of, the summer break. And so she said that to me, oh my God, you're retiring at 39. Oh, there's still so much to do, whatever. And I just said, I don't think I'm going to be bored, because she didn't realize that my schedule would be, I would be waking up at 6:05 every morning. I would do radio hits with local stations at 6:15, 25, 35, and 45. I would leave the house at 6:55 to commute to our office, where I would then, jump into our daily routine of producing radio shows and handling stuff with our book publishing and newspaper syndication and our coffee company and our swimwear company. And so it was, a full work day. And then specifically on a Monday, I would go home. I would live tweet Bachelor or Bachelorette if that was on. I was also a newspaper columnist, so I would write a newspaper column at about 10 or 10:30 on a Monday night, and then call it a day. Now you look at something like that and go, oh my God, that was another 12, 14, 15, 16-hour workday. And if there's breaking news, celebrity stuff, well then things get shifted around and moved, and it becomes, just a mess sometimes of scheduling. So, when your body is being pushed, when you're exerting that much energy all day, every day, 5 days a week for 15 years, it kind of, I don't think that your body knows, hey, I can slow down, right? If you weren't constantly running like that, then okay, fine. It would be a rude awakening for your system, right? If you go from doing nothing all day to then, yeah, okay. But my body's like, okay, this is what we do. Let's keep going. Let's go, 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 go. So, fast forward to retirement then, and not having to wake up at 6. Now, for the first few days, I thought, okay, I'm never going to be able to shake this, because, as I just said, it's 15 years of doing this. So for the first, I don't think that it was a week. I think it was only a few days. I don't remember. But I would wake up at 6 o'clock because, and by the way, after so many years of doing that, I didn't even wake up to an alarm after a while. I was just able to kind of go, all right, well, it's a few minutes before 6. All right, I'll just wake up now. You have to remember that a radio job, you've got to have that energy and that lively, you can't just be groggy and whatever in the morning. So you have to fake that energy. So I'm like, I'm not going to bother snoozing because it's not going to help me, do this job. So I would wake up, and then it's 6:30 in the morning. So if it's winter, it's still dark out. Even if you had a hobby, like, what are you going to do? You're not going to putter around the house at 6:30, right? So you're just going to lay in bed. You're going to toss and turn. You're going to get frustrated, and you're never going to get back to sleep because you're frustrated. So I was just like, oh, I hope it's not like this. Maybe my mom was right. I shook that within, again, however many days. And now we sleep until noon every day. And it's great. I have to say, there was something about being able to pull an all-nighter and just kind of this whole, I'm invincible, I'm young, I'm youthful, I'm energetic, I'm lively, I'm social, I'm whatever, that you get when you're in your 20s and you're doing the bar thing and then you're whatever. And that's fine. I did it. I'm not being a hypocrite. I loved that time in my life, because also that was before drama and social media and all this other stuff. You could just have genuine fun. There wasn't, scandal. There wasn't, chaos and controversy in our lives. But I enjoy it. We sleep until noon, and then, just kind of ease into the day. So let me go back to elementary school and junior high, because, when you're becoming a teenager, those are the days where my mom would come in. So we had a Lhasa Apso terrier dog. So my mom would open the door, and then he would come and jump on the bed, and then roll around and whatever. And sometimes she would either open the curtains to really wake you up, or she would flick on the light or something, whatever. And then she would leave, though. So just, she does that 20-second kind of open the door, bring the dog in, and then she would leave. And you would still be laying in bed, right? Because, that's sort of that's the human snooze button, right? Is the mom. She's the human. So she'll come back in 5 minutes later, whatever it is. Okay, get up. And you'd know that you've got at least one more get up out of it, so you don't get up. Or I would use the excuse of, well, the dog's not always on me. I can't get up. Meanwhile, it's this tiny little dog, right? And then you're groggy, I don't want, and then you're going to school too, right? So that's not fun. So you're not going to be looking forward to that unless it's pizza day or unless there's a field trip. Those are the days you have energy and you're good, right? And And you go. I don't remember ever being a teenager and coming home and having a nap or anything, because that's baby stuff, right? You didn't do it. You would just go, right? And think about it too. Those were also the times when you wanted to stay up late, right? Your bedtime might have been 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, depending on your age. On the weekends, you could stay up until midnight. Yeah, because now you're a grown up, right? Like you're an adult. So that's you would never have a nap when you were 12 or 13 years old. Are you kidding? No way. That's a sign of weakness. That's a sign of, there's something wrong with you, kid. So you go through that phase of, you kind of push the boundaries later and later and later. And now when you turn, for me, drinking age and bar age was 18 in Canada. So I at 18 years old, you're now doing the full night thing, right? So you're leaving the house at 11 o'clock at night. And now, seriously, we've had the discussion here. By the way, let me just in case you haven't tuned into the show before, I am the youngest of our team at 44 years old. 43? How old? Whatever, I'm in my 40s. I'm the youngest. And our team has been together for over 20 years. So there was one day where I said to Suzanne, our producer, we were texting, it was a Saturday, so it wasn't a weekday or anything, but it was a Saturday. And I said to her at about probably 9:30, I said to her, let's get together and let's go out tonight. Meanwhile, I didn't really want to, because to me, I was like, oh, that's pretty late though. And she had the same reaction, and she did not believe me. She called my bluff. She's like, you don't want to go out right now. And I said, but here's the thing. Because we don't do that, we should do that just for shits and giggles, right? Just because we can say that we did it, we're young, we have the energy. Why are we're gonna crap on the idea of going out at 9:30 on a Saturday? Come on now. Because again, rewind. She's in her 50s. So rewind 20 years, we would be getting ready to go out at that time. And so we would, you would go, you'd do the bar. 11 o'clock you'd leave, or you'd get there for 11 o'clock. You dance the night away. I'm trying to think of what time they would close. Was it about 2 o'clock, maybe 2:30? I can't remember what times the bars closed. Like on a holiday weekend in the summer, they stayed later, open later. Was it 2? They're telling me 2 o'clock. All right. So then from there, sometimes you even went to a house party or something after, or you would go to one of those pancake houses, or it was Perkins in Winnipeg. I don't know. Is Perkins even still around? But it was like one of those 24-hour diners or whatever it was, and you would have the greasy food, right? If you've done a night of drinking, the greasy food's really going to help. But it'll absorb it, but it doesn't make your stomach feel better. But you're invincible at that age. So you can, you're not going to have the shits like you would in your 40s. So you go and, you hang out with your group of friends at this restaurant, sober up a little bit, and then you get home at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Now, if it's summertime, the sun is coming up, right? The sun is coming up at that point. I worked at a bar. I worked the door, so I did the cover charge and coat check and whatever. And we would stay there after. The staff would stay, and there were no windows, so we couldn't see outside. But we would hang out. We'd watch TV or whatever it was, and we would be leaving on Sunday morning or whatever it was. And yeah, it was the middle of the day. The sun was out, everything, and it just I just punched the desk. It was kind of weird because you're like, I haven't slept yet. But I don't feel like I need to sleep. I can just go another day, And that's your early 20s, right? That's the energy that you have. Now, then you hit your serious working life. So maybe that's also when you're in school too, right? College, university, or you have your full-time career, office job, whatever it might be. And then you're in that grind that I was talking about, waking up at 6. For my LA friends, waking up at 4:30, commuting for an hour and a half, working all day, sitting on those freeways. If you have LA television channels at home or on the internet or whatever it is, you've got to watch when there's a car crash or a pursuit or something. Like that traffic is backed up for literally hours. So your regular commute might be an hour home. It's now going to be 2.5, 3 hours if you're just sitting on the freeway, not moving. It is. Ask if you know somebody who lives in LA. Ask them, and they will tell you that is absolutely the truth. So your morning starts super early because you have to get out, and then you're not even getting home until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And then you look at that and go, well, do I want to come home now and cook? Now I've got to play with my kids. Now I've got to walk my dog. Now I've got to... It's almost like, oh, now I've got to just make lunch for tomorrow and go to bed already. So, you have this feeling like you can never get enough sleep, right? That's what that working life is like in your 20s and 30s and I guess 40s, 50s until you retire. And it's, how many people you've heard complain about, I don't get enough sleep, I don't get enough sleep. Well, that's also sometimes your choice, right? You can spend all night scrolling on your phone. But I'm going to tell you why I get a really, really good night's sleep. And it's not because I don't have kids. It's not because I don't have stress. It's not because we have a rule in our house for our bedroom. But I'm going to tell you why we have a really, really good night's sleep on the Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. Show of hands, even though I can't see you. How many of you sleep with your phone beside you? Don't lie. Don't lie. Now, again, I said I can't see you, but I'm going to say it's 99% of our listeners right now are raising their hand. Or should be, but lying to themselves. You sleep with your phone beside you. That's great, okay? And the excuse that we hear is... What's your excuse, right? It's my alarm clock. Okay. Here's the thing. So long before the days of cell phones... I had a cordless phone at my house, but so I'm going back. I haven't lived with my parents for 19 years, but when I lived in the basement, I had my own phone line. So I had my cordless phone on my bed beside me. So I had two pillows, and then one of them I made like an indent in the pillow, and that my cordless phone rested there. So that was my early kind of cell phone. That was my early. So I would have that. Then, when I was old enough to have a laptop, so I moved out of the house when I was 25. So my early 20s, I had my own laptop, and I had that beside my bed. So think about that, right? That would be the early days of... We didn't have social media then, but it was certainly, I had email open on the computer, right? Or perhaps, I guess, MSN Messenger, or did we have AOL Messenger? If you're old enough, you know what I'm talking about. But those messaging programs anyway. So that was, and so I had my laptop on a bed, I had my laptop on a table beside my bed. And I would wake up how many times in the middle of the night to look at email. This wasn't even, as I said, there was no Instagram. It's not like I was scrolling to look at pictures of people and, message and here's what's going on. I was very corporate. I was very businesslike in my 20s. And so I would be like, who's emailing me at 4 o'clock in the morning? Who's emailing me at 5 o'clock in the morning? But my body got so used to waking up and checking it, which is what many of you have with your phone, right? Because you're just so addicted to it. And so our bedroom in our Winnipeg house is upstairs. And it's... I'm going to say, I call it a technology-free zone. What I mean is a no-phone zone. We have technology because we have a TV in our bedroom. So that, you know what I mean. A no communication technology zone, whatever. Bottom line, there's no phones allowed in our bedroom. And so that's something that I did even before my husband came around. He's been around in my life for almost 10 years now. And so the first time when he came to visit from Brazil, he had the phone like right beside him. And I said to him, the phone is not by the bed. It's not on the bed. It's not by the pillow. It's not whatever. You can put it maybe on the TV stand across the room, but the bed is for sleeping. It's not, you're not laying in bed and scrolling. That's just not happening because I don't need the glow of it. I don't need the whatever. The room is for sleeping and maybe other things, but no phones. And he didn't like that. He did not like it at all. But the funny thing was that once he was able to kind of shake that. Now, his reason for insisting on it was because his family was in Brazil. It was his first time being away. So he, if something happened, he needed it. Whatever. He get over that real fast. It's like, you know what? Even if something happened at 5 o'clock in the morning, there's no planes going out. You're not going to be able to do anything. You can't go anywhere. It's not going to make one lick of difference. So, and then he was like, yeah, okay. And then he realized that he was waking up in the middle of the night. He was looking at his phone. He was whatever. And I said, isn't it great that you shake that habit so you're not waking up in the middle of the night. The glow isn't now all of a sudden, messing with your eyes, and now your brain is going because you're thinking of something that you just saw. And truly, we sleep through the night. Now, the tough thing with our situation was that he would need silence when he sleeps. I need noise. So I have the TV on. I'm listening to it. Now, I'm not watching the TV. You always hear about people, the experts, quote unquote experts, that say, well, you don't have the light from the TV and that'll keep you awake, whatever. No, I still need the sound. So if there was a way to have the TV screen off and just have the sound, which I guess would be radio or a podcast, but I like a TV show. So I will put on a classic episode of a sitcom or something like that, and then it's on YouTube, so then it'll just play the next one and play the next one and play the next one. I need some kind of sound. He needed silence. We were able to kind of figure it out. So once I fall asleep, it's a good 4 or 5, 6 hours sleeping right through. When I was working every day, when I was constantly I would wake up, I'd look at the time, right? That's something that you do when you're working. You're going to look at the time. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. Okay, got 1 more hour or 2 more hours, whatever it is. Okay, and then you wake up again. Oh, I've got another 30 minutes. Okay. But because we don't have that situation anymore, we're sleeping full night into 12 noon the next day. But it's eliminating that technology. And you do hear the experts say that too, right? Get rid of the phone. That's waking you up. That's keeping you up. And it maybe freaks you out for the first little while, right? Because that's my alarm. Well, you know what? Have it across the room then. It's loud enough. You can hear it. It doesn't need to be right there. And if you do have it across the room, it means that you have to get your ass up out of bed and wake up. You can't just lay there and, right? Because that thing's going to annoy the piss out of you. So you are going to have to get up and go to shut off the alarm. Great. Have it across the room from you. It doesn't need to be, right beside you. But you make an excuse. I hear you already making an excuse. Well, that's where the plug is. Oh, well, I need it. Oh, well, I need to, I don't have my glasses. I won't be able to see it. Whatever. Well, bullshit. Then get one of those little projector clocks where it's giant numbers on the wall, right? Everybody makes these excuses to cling to their phone. And so it's very liberating. It's very freeing to not have it beside you. And our phones we don't even have them across the room. They're downstairs in the living room. They're on the end table charging overnight. We don't have phones in our room upstairs. We have a landline, which, obviously if there's an emergency or something upstairs, so we do have a phone. Yeah, we've got landlines. Shut up. But in terms of cell phone technology, no computers, no tablets. There's nothing upstairs in our bedroom. And we have a great night's sleep. So that's something, partnering with the retirement thing. So the ability to sleep in, not having that fear of sleeping in, that I'm going to miss work or be late or miss my bus or whatever the situation might be for you, and then not having the phones. And it's great. So even if we do go to bed at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, we fall asleep right away. And it's a good 5 or 6 hours straight. I found that when I was working more, I would wake up 5, 6, 7 times in the night. And again, experts will tell you that is normal. But yeah, there's something that's just great about being able to wake up. Even if we do wake up at 10 or 11 o'clock now, it still seems early. It seems early now because we're getting into this routine. But I like the idea of not having to be, because I'm not a morning person, as I said, I like the idea of easing into the day, 9:30, 10 o'clock even is good for me, and then going. Because I don't know what I would be doing at 8 o'clock in the morning now. Oh, you could go for a jog. Oh, you can go for a walk. We walk our dogs later in the early afternoon. We got many hours in the day to fill, so it's not like we're crushed for time that we got to do this and do this. I tried briefly, I don't even know that it lasted a week, where when I was still working regularly, so in the summer, because the sun is up at 5 o'clock or 4:30 in the morning, I would wake up and I would go and I would walk the dogs at about 5 or 5:15, because remember I was on the radio at 6:15. So I would go, we'd walk for 45 minutes, we'd go maybe almost close to an hour. Your heart's going, you've just exercised, right? It's a good power walk for 45 minutes at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, I'm gonna do that. I'll get it out of the way and then I can go. It was fine for the few days, but then I was just kind of like, why? I'll just walk later in the day. I don't need to, it wasn't a big deal for me to do that. So, but I'm appreciating sleep. I'm certainly not at that point where now I'm waiting for this to happen, because you always hear that joke about old people who go to bed at 8 o'clock and then they wake up at 4 in the morning and they're doing whatever. I'm not there yet. I don't know that I've never been a morning person, so I don't see myself enjoying that. I see myself waking up later and later and later in the day. There was one day, this is true, that we woke up, it was almost 1:30 in the afternoon. And again, you just think, is there something medically wrong with? Are they sick? Like, why are they? No, it's just we just enjoy sleeping. Now, I'm not saying that we go to bed at midnight and we're sleeping for 12 hours straight. No, there's times when we go to bed at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And if I'm going to be honest, and I don't talk about my sex life, and I don't, but you know what? You could have a good 3 or 4 hours of fun private activity starting at midnight. And then you are exhausted by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and so maybe it's also that physical activity before bed, and that's all I'm saying. Mind your own business. But yeah, I mean, I just, the sleep thing is great for me. I appreciate people burning the candle at both ends. There's a term that is from an older generation. You're burning the candle at both ends. You're staying up because you're working. Trust me, as an entrepreneur, I know exactly what that was like. But when I was living at my parents' basement and I was trying to break into the newspaper business, I was up all hours writing things, contacting newspapers, just doing what I could. That was back before social media, where it was easy to network and find people and whatever. I was hunched over at the computer, just the glow of it in the dark basement, and would be up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But there's something about, for me at least, being creative at night. That's my better time to get creative. When you're a writer, it's sort of tough because it's not that you can just flick a switch and it's like, oh, now I'm creative. Oh, now I'm in a writing mood. You need to get into a vibe. You need to get into a groove. And for me, I need that whole energy from the day, right? I kind of need that. For me, it's not winding down at 10 o'clock. That's my time where it's like, okay, now I'm going to write something because I've had all these experiences and situations all day and it's got my brain going. And that's when I write and do things. Generally, by the way, we tape the podcast generally in a radio studio in the daytime, but there are times where, I think was it in December? We still follow a very similar radio production schedule in our office. And after American Thanksgiving at the end of November, we don't really have much in production for our radio programming. We tape Christmas things early. So our team is off for most of December. And I taped, I don't know if it was 30 podcasts, no, 40, what was it, 42 episodes of this podcast in December. And so I did almost all of those at home. And if I look at the timestamps, actually, I think we can. If I can just, you're going to hear some clicking of the mouse. I don't remember the episodes, but it'll show me the date that I taped, that they were recorded. And of course, I just closed the wrong thing. But I'm gonna guess most of these were taped after midnight on the day that they were recorded, because that's just when I'm in my groove. I don't know that there would have ever been a podcast or an episode. Let me look here. December 6th, 2:26 a.m., and then 8:06 p.m., 10:20 p.m., 11 p.m., 11:45 p.m., 12:40 a.m., 12:17 a.m., 12:22 a.m., 2:54 a.m., 3:03 a.m., 9:13 p.m., 2:21 a.m., 10:25 p.m., 1:57, 1:51, 2:56 in the morning, 3:30. Oh, that was 3:33 in the afternoon. But generally, these are all after close to around midnight. Well, at least after 9 or 10 o'clock at night. That was only up to December 17th. I didn't even go through the entire month. But yeah, that's just because, like I said, I've gone through the day and I'll tape 3 of them in one night because I've got a bunch of ideas or, what have you. And so, yeah, I don't know. I when I was working and constantly had so much on the go, I could do 3 or 4 hours of, sleep, and that's it. And that was it. I probably still could if I, needed to, because it's not like I'm not old. It's not that I'm not being physically active or anything. I mean, we walk the dogs for an hour every day, and then we go out and we're out doing things. But I like just being, just easing into the day now. And there are times, this is weird too, where there was one day, it was raining. That's my excuse for that. So we slept in until probably about 12 or 12:30. Isn't there something great about just having the cool breeze coming through on that cloudy, rainy day, right? There's that fresh smell of rain. That's just a nice, especially when it's on a Saturday if you're not working. You just lay in bed, it's just this relaxing kind of feel. So that's what was happening that day. And then I did the bath, and then we didn't walk the dogs because of the rain, but we did something. I don't remember what we did. Did we go somewhere? Or did we do something in the house? I can't remember. And I crashed on the couch at about 4 o'clock. It was just one of those things where, so then I wake up and my husband's like, what, are you napping already? Like, you've only been awake for, I said, you know what? If the body says I need a break, I'm going to take the break. And so I did. I crashed on the couch for however long it was, an hour, hour and a half, even though I was only awake for 3 hours at that point. But I woke up refreshed and I was ready to go. Does it throw off your cycle and now you're wide awake at midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning? Yes, you are. But again, if I don't have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to drive to work, well then what does it matter? So yeah, I don't know. I'm appreciating sleep now. So let me know how many hours of sleep you get on any given day. And do you find it easy to sleep in on a weekend if you work Monday to Friday and weekends are your days off? Are you still waking up at that 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock a morning wake up time that you normally have, or are you able to? And I think it's different if you have kids, right? I mean, that's always the big challenge. I'm trying to think. I was always the first one awake I've got 2 older brothers. And so, but for me, I was the first one awake on a Saturday because that meant I had the TV to myself. And for me, there was something really, I liked being the only one awake. I liked being the only one kind of stirring in the house on a Saturday morning. So I got the couch, I got the TV remote, I would watch, Saved by the Bell or the cartoons or whatever was on at that time. And I remember always feeling like as soon as I could hear people waking up, I was just like, oh crap, everybody's waking up. But I liked having the place to myself. I was the first one awake. And yeah. And then when I hit the teenage years, that's where, you're sleeping as much as you can. You're sleeping in. Isn't it weird how we go through that though? If it was a one night day, this is where I went with my cousin one time. We went to an arcade. She's in her 50s. I'm in my 40s. Her husband was out of town for work. Mine, I think, was 2. He wasn't here I don't remember where he was. So we were 2 single ladies, and we were video chatting. We video chat quite a bit. And so I just randomly said to her, like, let's go do something. And it was only about 6 o'clock. It wasn't too late. It was maybe, 6, not quite 6, 6:30. And she's like, what? I said, well, let's just be silly. So we ended up going to an arcade. We played those games where you win the tokens or tickets or whatever for prizes. And you spend like $30 on tokens and then you get a 50-cent bag of candy But you had fun, right? That was the whole point of it. And so we get together at 8:30 or whatever it was, and it was a Saturday night, and we go, and there's a bunch of younger, like teenagers or 20s, and they're doing laser tag and bowling and whatever. And we were there for maybe about 2 hours or so. And then we went to the casino after, and we gambled whatever. I think I had $50 or $60 or something, and she probably had the same. And then we start yawning, and we look at the time, and it was not even midnight yet. Not even midnight. But it felt later because we'd gone to 2 places on a Saturday night already, right? We went to the arcade, and then we ended up... And so we called it a night. It was kind of like, yeah, I'm tired already. Yeah. But I like the idea of just randomly, for no reason whatsoever, hey, let's just go. I was always the king of the road trip. If I'd just call somebody, text somebody, and let's just drive out to the lake. It's 11 o'clock at night, whatever. But now in my 40s, I find that I'm doing that less and less. And I just, I don't want to be out at midnight. No. So there's parts of me that feel like an old man, even though I don't have kids. But I could do an all-nighter if I really, really wanted to. Actually, I got to tell you, when we got to take a break. So what am I doing? Am I going to finish the story? Oh, and then a hard out. We are really out of time. Okay, so I'll tell you this quick story. Being an entrepreneur and a workaholic, if I have an idea... So, for instance, our coffee company, okay? I'll give you the inside scoop as to Scoop Coffee? Yeah, Scoop the Beans, whatever. My husband, he's the Brazilian coffee nut, right? So we had several conversations, and he said, we've had this success with the swimwear company, why don't we do something else? So he loves coffee, okay. And I said to him, here's the deal. You're getting into a project, a business, thing with JB here. This is how it works. And he's like, yeah, I know how it works. I said, okay, well, and what I mean by that is, and same thing with our swimwear, Happy Bulge Swim Company, is we have the idea and we are going to work and work and work and work on it. So when I finally said, all right, let's do this, it was Thursday. Thursday when I kind of said, okay. And I said, we're working on it this weekend. And he's like, it was almost like boot camp for him. He was almost kind of like, all right, what do I need to do to prepare? So it was Friday night. As I said, when I'm writing or when I'm doing something creative, it just has to hit me. I just have to, okay, now I can write. Okay, now is the time. And so whatever we were doing at home on Friday evening, and it was probably about 10 or 10:30 when I said to him, all right, let's get on it now. And he seemed kind of surprised, right? He's like, well, what? And I said, no, let's go. Here we are. And I'm being a journalist for 20 some years. I always have a notepad and a pen. There's 2 pens right in front of me right now, and I always have paper. I said, all right, here we go. So now we're going to brainstorm. And this was really before AI was, I guess, kind of around. But so we didn't, being a creative person, I'm kind of against AI in terms of writing things and whatever, because that's what I love to do, right? So I said to him, okay, here's what we got to figure out how we're going to do this. We're going to get a bunch of different, flavors of coffee from around the world. We're going to do this. We got to source it. We got to come up with, names of the products. We've got to, find out, we got to figure out a name for the company. We've got to do this. We've got to get imagery. We've got to, do all these things. We are not stopping until we have, and then whatever the list was of tasks or things to complete. And so he was like, okay, so we're not going to sleep on it. I said, we're starting right now. And we did. We stayed in our living room. I didn't go into the office and okay, we're getting meeting rooms and boardrooms and whiteboards and whatever. No, it was very, very comfy. It was very cozy. We were on the couch. I'm doing this. He's figuring out whatever this is. And we're not stopping until we have basically figured out the business. Who's our audience? This, we needed to figure out all of those things. And so that started Friday night. We worked right through to Saturday morning. He was wanting to sleep. I said no. And that's the thing, though, is that when you're energetic and you're looking forward to it, you don't feel tired, right? You're not thinking about it. It's the same thing when you're so consumed with a job. You don't think to eat, right? You don't think that, I'm starving. Because you're just so focused. And so we go through Saturday. Now, it was the evening that we did order, I think it was pizza, because we kind of wanted something gross. He's a health nut. We don't really eat junk food. But, we needed something heavy. We ordered, I believe it was 4 pizzas that we had delivered. And then Pepsi, or 2 bottles of Pepsi. You kind of need some sugar to keep you going. We didn't even stop, though. It's not like we're going to take a half-hour dinner break and then we're going to get back to it, because we were just into it. And then, I have an idea and he likes that. And then he gets an idea and that gives me energy, and then we go. It was almost 30 hours that we did this. So we started Friday night, we go through Saturday, so you're 24 hours, and then it was Sunday morning, maybe early afternoon, and we did. We had... you have to remember that we have a company of people. So we have a graphic designer. We have people that can do things. So it's not like, now we've got to go into Canva and design a logo, which we could have, but we've got people that do that because they're experts. So we were able to, at least kind of give our designer a mock-up of something. And because we mimicked it after our Happy Bulge Swim Company logo, it was kind of the same guy. We just needed to flip it and have him holding a coffee cup. So that was easy to figure out. But we did a 30-hour stretch from beginning to end, planned basically the entire company, or at least the meat and potatoes of it, the framework, the blueprint of it. And then we had a lot of the work done as well. And then we crashed shortly after that. But there's something about a night like that. Now they're telling me that we're 5 minutes over. Wonderful. I'm going to keep going. There's a good exhaustion and a bad exhaustion, right? Because I sleep well because I don't worry financially. I don't worry about I'm not worried about my health. Like we don't have anything in our lives that's keeping us awake, tossing and turning, right? So if you're having financial troubles, sure, you're losing sleep. You're worrying about it. Your mind is going. We're in a situation where we don't have that. But, and I've said this to my cousin many times, I would prefer not being able to sleep because I have great ideas and I've got excitement and I'm looking forward to something, right? Think about when you've got a vacation coming up, right? You're looking forward to it. You're excited. Or there's a concert that you're going to go see Taylor Swift tomorrow and you can't sleep tonight. That's a good not being able to sleep, right? So I like that. I like being, if all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, and then I'll go down to my office downstairs from like upstairs in my bedroom, I'll go down to my office in the house and I'll start writing something or I'll start, I love that. I have relatives who do have financial troubles and can't sleep because of I don't worry. And so that's where it's like, you know what? Sometimes I am up 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning writing something, whether it's a book, whether it's a newspaper column, creating a coffee company, for God's sake. So I like it. And I don't see sleep as, I don't know how to explain it. I was going to say, I see sleep as a partnership with my creativity. If I can sleep at the right times or what works, like I fit the sleep in where it needs to fit in. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know what I'm trying to say. Sleep will come when I've exhausted my creativity for the day. If that means I don't go to bed until 6 o'clock in the morning and then I wake up at noon or 1:30, well, you know what? I was doing the work that people would be doing in the daytime. I was getting it done because I had a brainstorm. I had this, energy rush, and it came out at 4 o'clock in the morning. And you know what? That's fine. So now I can sleep in so that's where it's like, if you're going into a job, yeah, you need to sleep from midnight till 5 because that's the time that you sleep. But for me, it was, it's like I can, being creative work, I can move things around. I don't have to commute. I don't have to be in the office at 8 o'clock like other people do. So sleep kind of works around my schedule. Whereas other people, right, your schedule, works around your sleep. So, all right, now we're out of time. I do have to go. Thank you so much for listening. Tell me your thoughts on sleeping. How old are you and how many hours of sleep do you get? And tell me which, if you're my age or around that age, like what sleep habit did you like the best? Do you like waking up early? Did you like the teenage years where you were sleeping in? Did you like that all-nighter thing where, you can just keep... And do you still do that? How long did you do that for in your life? Did you still go clubbing into your 30s and 40s? And can you still do a 2-hour or a 30-minute sleep and be good to go the next day? You can do that one-off, right? I could do that now. I certainly couldn't sustain that for several days in a row. But anyway, send me an email, live, Live, live at jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in. Get some sleep tonight as well. No, I don't know. What day is it today? I don't even know. But I know that I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.